basically what you put in a computer and was like, yeah, this looks
That's
good.
exactly what happened.
And then when they got your documents, they was like, oh, wait, hold on.
Right.
That's why I tell people, don't go off for pre-qualification. You want to send a lender everything, have them do all their homework, because you don't want to get out there and start looking. And then they come back and be like, oh, hold on, wait a minute.
Right.
Yeah.
Hi, it's Natasha with soldbynat.com here, associate broker with Virtual Properties Realty in Gwinnett County, Georgia. I am here with Chuck and Marion. Hi, guys.
Hey.
And we are going to catch up today because they closed on their home. What is it? 2 weeks now, right? Two Fridays ago.
It will be 2 weeks.
Yes. And it was a journey.
It was. It definitely was.
That it was.
Yes, it was.
A year-long journey for us.
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to talk about that.
Yeah, we're going to talk about all of that.
Yes, all of that.
Questions, and I was like, yeah, we're going to talk about all of that.
Good. Yeah, because that brief conversation we had when we closed, I was like, yeah, these are some good nuggets that would be helpful to people. You had shared a little bit, during the journey, but I was like, no, I got to get you
right. No, absolutely.
For a video.
Yeah.
So, well, let's start. Well, let me just ask you. So since you guys closed, how has it been? What you been up to?
Just mostly doing spot packing and moving. So
okay.
Our big move is the 21st.
Okay.
It's been mostly when we have spare time each day, bringing either boxes from a room or a section of the house over here.
Okay.
And also throwing away stuff that we know we're not going to bring with us.
Okay. All right.
He's minimized some things because as we're transitioning, moving across town, he's turned on the lights. He's turned on the internet. That's why we're here at the house.
Okay.
The utilities, doing change of address. All of that is not as quick as it seems.
Okay.
So tell you could do things online, but when you do things online, you always got to go and drive somewhere and back it up, especially moving across counties.
Okay. That's a good nugget.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And yeah, especially it's good. Like you guys still have your jobs, like full-time jobs. You still have families.
Right.
You move in places. Thankfully, though, you guys were in a position where you didn't have to be out by a certain date. Right. So well, sorry. You guys had time after you closed to actually.
We could call our shot as far as when we wanted to move. Yes.
Okay. And that's because you went month to month?
So, yes, we went month to month.
Yeah.
Well, thank goodness.
That was even a journey, too, because first we started with we had an end date. And then when things got complicated with closing, then we had to go month to month. Mm-hmm. And when that extended, we had to go another 6-month lease. And when that ended, then we went month to month. But not every landlord is as forgiving.
Accommodating, yes. And I think the only reason that we got that as far as accommodations, we were with this particular landlord for 8 years.
Okay. Yeah. And we're going to talk about that too. Like when things got complicated towards the end, like things got a little bumpy, but you guys stayed positive in the midst of it all and saw the big picture. So I want to share that too, because everybody doesn't keep that positive attitude and energy. So let's start here.
Yeah, we had to feel some pain first to get to that.
Okay.
So,
okay.
All right. That was a journey. That was part of the journey. So
okay. So let's start at the beginning of your journey. Where did your journey start as far as you deciding, let's buy a home?
Okay, so for me, it was we had as you know, we're a blended family. I have one with me. She has 2 with her. We all live in the same house. At the time, one was leaving permanently. One is kind of halfway in, halfway out, and the other one we still have. So at that point, it was a matter of, and also they were raising my rent. That was going up too at the time. So I was just like,
no longer incrementally, I might add.
It was a significant rent increase because a lot of people are seeing that. Yeah. Right. Okay.
So it just didn't make any sense, dollars to cents wise, to keep renting. When I first moved down here, from New York, I really wasn't in a position I was just coming out of divorce, but I wasn't in a position to buy a house.
Mm-hmm.
And the places where I could necessarily buy out weren't in the greatest school districts. My dad lived in DeKalb County. So I told my dad, I'm sorry, I have to come out here into Gwinnett. And I knew she was coming. So I just I had to kind of put us in a position where at least the kids would take care as far as education.
Yeah, so you want a better school districts because it is
right.
known. Yeah. This county is known for better school districts, or, you know, they are sought after for their school districts.
Right.
Okay.
And of course, you know, we also had, you know, my children were military brats. So they're coming through not quite as much of a bigger city. Even though Chuck and I are from big cities, they were not. So we had to be careful that if we moved them somewhere too metropolitan, that they just were not going to have the social skills to move forward in those areas.
Wow. Do you see the dynamics there? Like, wow. Okay. All right. Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, and again, I kind of dragged into it. She had nothing to do as far as beginning the first push to start looking for a house. It was kind of all me because I was just like basically I was the one who's paying the rent and all the other stuff, and I was just like, you know what, it's time for me to explore other things.
Mm-hmm.
So I did the whole calling 10 million lenders, everything you shouldn't do. I called 10 million lenders, and I also went and talked to builders and stuff without representation, without a realtor, without, you know. Also a no. You don't do that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I sourced a place that I thought we would like.
Okay.
So that's when I dragged her into it. This is now just in the looking phase, and we met this woman, Marjorie, in one of her subdivisions, and I immediately gave her earnest money. Again, second no. We looked at the model home, like the model home, but unfortunately, in the subdivision she was in, she didn't have anything else left. But she had a sheet of paper of some other ones that they were still attached to that we could go look at.
Mm-hmm.
So I took her with me to go look at another subdivision of a house that, and again, I fell in love with it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And then she was like, basically, I can't do anything until you get a realtor.
Okay. So, were you pre-approved at this time?
No.
Okay.
I was not pre-approved.
Okay.
I went and called Coldwell Banker.
Mm-hmm.
They assigned somebody to me.
Mm-hmm.
That particular realtor was the one I went through that whole experience with.
Mm-hmm. Well, and we assume we were pre-approved. The other part of that is we're talking the beginning of COVID. So you couldn't get a hold of people. So people are telling you, yeah, we're going to have your paperwork done. Meanwhile, we're all teleworking. We're all, you know, we're trying to do movement.
Mm-hmm.
And so we can't get a hold of people. You know, we can't get a hold of the realtor at Coldwell or, you know, and that's not a reflection of Coldwell.
Well, we couldn't get in contact with the lender that was assigned to us as well from Coldwell Banker.
Yeah, things got crazy. Speaking of Coldwell, that was my first broker, by the way. I don't know if I'm sure that was my first broker when I got licensed.
Really?
I used to work for them. Okay. All right, go ahead.
Well, Coldwell Banker assigned me a realtor and a lender.
Who we shall not name.
We will not, we will remain lender.
Okay.
As well as the lender.
Okay.
But in that journey, I come to find out that my financing wasn't as great as I thought it was.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you know,
it happens though. It happened though, and that's why I tell people it's get pre-approved so you know where you stand. Right. But you were kind of figuring it out on your own.
We were pre-approved to be pre-approved. I mean, it was almost like we see no problems with you. We'll get that out to you.
Right.
Okay. So we were like pre-approved to be pre-approved.
Okay.
And so that's when we kind of took the ball
and ran with it.
Yeah.
But wait, do you know what actually happened though? They pre-qualified you. So they probably looked at your ink, basically what you put in a computer and was like, yeah, this looks good.
Exactly what happened.
And then when they got your documents, they was like, oh, wait, hold on. Right. That's why I tell people, don't go off for pre-qualification. You want to send a lender everything, have them do all their homework because you don't want to get out there and start looking. And then they come back and be like, oh, hold on, wait a minute.
Right.
Yes. And we have certain red flags too. And this is probably going to go further into it. But Some of it was, we should have used our instincts. So when a lender is trying so desperately to manipulate those numbers to the point where, Chuck mentioned divorce earlier. So we're both coming through that. We've both had homes before, and we've both had significant dings to our credit because of other people. Right. And that can take years to clean up. Right. But when these lenders are like, well, let's play with your two incomes together, then let's see how they are apart. Then let's see if we leave this out. Those should have been red flags for us. One, they're hitting both our credits, so I'm still waiting for mine to slowly come back up to the level that I had been before, which was in the 700s. So they're playing with both. I have a very large student loan to my name. So for me to come out of that hole is going to be, 10 years down the road. So that was an obstacle. But when you're telling these lenders, hey, I have this big student loan, that should have been for them some flags of we shouldn't run her credit with his, because now we're dinging hers a couple of times and then we're dinging his a couple of times. But these people are so desperate to sell us that loan that, they kind of ruined us for, I won't say forever, but for months. They delayed our track for months.
Okay. All right. So you already put down the contract on the house. You put down the earnest money. Right. You're going through the lending process and you're assigned an agent at this point.
Yes.
So are you still moving forward with this house?
No. So in the interim, we also ran into problems with the selling agent and our particular realtor were not getting along at all, where they were having literally verbal fights in front of us at the home to do something simple like a walkthrough.
And you're talking about the on-site agent. The on-site
agent, yes. The on-site agent and our realtor were actually literally, name calling.
What in the name of unprofessionalism is going on?
Yes, we've seen, the highest levels of unprofessionalism we saw firsthand.
Okay.
And,
bullies are real, even with grown-ups. Yeah, bullies are real.
Yeah.
Okay. So just like we've talked about this before, you had a situation.
I did.
The agent shall remain nameless.
The
agent shall remain nameless. So what? And bless your heart, Chuck. You are a man of loyalty. You will.
I am.
You tried
to a detriment. It's a gift and a curse.
All right. So you got connected, and you're like, all right.
Right.
We're gonna work. I'm gonna give him a chance.
Right. And again, I wanted to see certain people. I see people trying out here, and I'm like, I want to give them a chance. I was one of those. I ignored certain red flags that. Basically, if it was any other kind of business or something else I was dealing with, I'd be like, okay, I can't do this. And I'd have moved on. Other problem is that when it became pretty obvious we were not going to get this house, this particular agent would not allow us to leave freely.
Okay. Leave the contract or leave his services?
Both.
Okay.
Well, and some of that too is, what people need to understand is we got to 2 days before closing, and that that particular seller, so that builder or seller's agent, they did not even have the house ready. Right. So there were things that failed inspection, very dangerously failed inspection. To layer that onto that, we were not made aware that house was on a very bad flood zone. So we were not aware that the things that we were looking for in a house, and our realtor knew, we want some land or at least some privacy and some peace. He was not aware of the fact that they were putting up a whole bunch of houses behind us that they were squeezing in. So that's a big thing for us. It wasn't that we were looking for country, but we're not looking at that starter home anymore. We're looking at that retirement home. We don't need, 50 new families living behind us, because that's the stage in our lives that we've moved forward from.
Right.
We have older children. We need driveways for cars and, other things that we need.
We have kids that are coming to visit us. We don't have kids that we're going to be taking to the bus stop. We're past that part of our life.
We're past that stage.
Yeah. Not that we mind that.
Yeah.
But, we're looking for just to have a little bit more space, that when we want quiet, we can retreat.
Yeah. We're not looking for that kind of community living.
Okay. And one thing I wanted to point out, where you said that the flood zone, why that's important for people that don't know, like flood insurance is costly. So that's going to affect your numbers dramatically. That's something you want to know.
Yes. In fact, you might not be able to get homeowners insurance without getting the flood insurance from FEMA. It's not, by the way, just because you get it from the home insurance, that doesn't mean you have to get the FEMA one too. It's important that you get the one from the government.
And you're finding out about this in the 9th hour, like before, like
this was within days. All of this is within that last week. So as far as we were concerned, we had this house. We were transferring utilities at that, or talking about it to the utility companies. We were ready to go. And in the same token, we were trusting that the seller was fixing things in the house that they were not, that they actually, so we would have even closed on this house and still would have had brick missing from a fireplace that was a fire hazard. And, there was no way we were going to get flood insurance that quickly. I'm sure that requires a survey or some other things that we weren't yet aware of because of the shortness of time that we had.
Okay.
And so when that falls through, we still have a realtor. That's how much Chuck valued, loyalty. That we still had this realtor. Now we're starting to pick up a little bit of that trickle effect with the pandemic and the housing situation, but not full speed. But we're calling him saying, we have a house at X, Y, and Z. Can you meet us there? Things that, seem like we're making them jump through.
One shot. So back to the financing. So my issue was I had a default on a student loan.
Okay.
That default was not going to be cleared until August. So we were supposed to be closing in July. It wasn't going to be done until the end of August.
Okay.
The seller, the builder, seller, whatever you want to call him, he wanted to charge me in order to hold the house until the end of the month. He wanted to charge me a certain amount each day, a pro rate each day to hold the house.
Close.
Right.
Mind you, they weren't ready yet.
They weren't ready.
They weren't ready.
Right. They weren't ready.
They're going to put it on you to get money.
But they want to charge me. Right.
They were going to. And meanwhile, we kept coming up with more money into loans because we're asked, well, come up with more money. Again, someone grasping. So we're trying to come up with more money. And so that's going on. And we're also thinking in the back of our mind, while desperately trying to hold on to this house, that we need to communicate with our realtor.
Okay.
Realtor can't communicate with them because he's calling her ugly.
Right.
And
because he has such a bad relationship right now with the seller and the seller's agent.
He can no longer represent.
He could not represent us anymore with that particular builder.
But he would have still gotten paid at closing had he closed. He would still paid, but he can't do his job.
And he had already. That was a second warning because, Chuck had already had to talk to the realtor, his boss.
Right, to the broker.
Yes, to the broker, to say, this is not working. What can we do? I was very dissatisfied. And I think sometimes as women, we can get a little bit more irate and emotional when we see that we're being pulled and we're being hurt and we're being dragged along. And so I had already wanted to sever ties. And Chuck was holding on.
Right. Well, I was holding on for two reasons. One, because I was like, okay, let's see what happens on the resale market. And two, because he was telling me that basically he had me under contract for a year. And there was nothing I could do about that. Like, it doesn't matter whether he basically was like, you can go get someone else, but I'm still going to get paid. So that's why I was like, I felt like I was kind of cornered.
Right. Wow.
Well, what ended up happening is we had, like she was saying, we had the resale, and in this market, it started to become that crazy COVID market that we all know now.
Wait, you said you had the resale. You mean a new construction?
We were looking at resale after we said we pretty much.
Okay, so new construction is done.
It's done.
It's a wrap. Okay, so now you're like, all right.
Come to closing when we couldn't make closing. We said bye. We mourned that house. It was. I mean, it was hard for both of us. I mean, that I think 1 to 2 week period was rough for us. You know, it was a lot of tears, a lot of like, you know, hey, sleepless nights, but we had to mourn. Like, yeah, listen, let the house go. It's not going to happen.
It's not meant to be. God had a plan. I mean, and we heard that from a lot of people. It's very hard to believe, but the more you're hearing it and the more you're hearing it, the more it's sticking in your head that when it's meant to be.
It's meant to be. I mean, I was to the point where I was looking to do those divvies and all this other stuff to try to get us, and people were telling me, it's not, listen, you're doing first of all, your situation is not meant for that. That's not what, you're not that guy. You know, if it was maybe you 15, 20 years ago, maybe, but you now, you're not that person that needs a divvy, or that house is just not for you. Just move on. So I was getting that kind of advice, and those type of people who I respect tell me that move on.
And that's the other thing, you know, that I want people to understand too. When you're going through divorce, you know, so anybody that's currently going through changes like that in life, to understand that there will be a level of time. There will be a time that comes that you'll be okay. That you will be okay. And everyone has to go through that journey, and it's not going to happen right away. But, you know, we're encountering other people. As a matter of fact, we have a neighbor who's going through that type of challenge with now being a single mom and trying to come through that divorce. And a lot of us will place that value of ourselves on whether we can get a house, whether we can get a car, and you have to really work hard to set that aside and not proclaim your value because of it.
Yeah, whether it's divorce, it's I filed bankruptcy, I lost my job. Like we all go through things. Like we all go. And for me, it's more than just real estate. I need to sell you a house. Like listen to the dynamics that you guys are sharing. Like we are all doing life. Like even myself, I'm doing life in addition to working. So I connect with people on those levels. Like, listen, even like parenting, like you're like, we got one left, one's in transition, one's still here. Like we connect on the parenting level. Like there are levels to what we do. Like, okay.
Absolutely. You know, and you have to get out your comfort zone. So at that point we were looking at a new build. So now we said, well, let's look at what's out there resale.
Okay.
So we had to start in a totally different place.
Okay.
To begin to look. And at the resale market now, I know things are changing now. So a realtor is as important now with new build as they are with resales. But at that time, we were still under the old rules. You need your realtor to be responsive.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Even more so, the rules had changed in COVID. And I think you had a video not too long ago, but the rules for the market has changed. You gotta be quick to the ball game. Like, you know, so one, he did not really know this market. He really does Johns Creek and the others, more of the western side of Atlanta.
Okay.
Which is cool. But, you know, when I get told that basically I should not look in like Loganville, it tells me that, hey, you know what? That's not really your mark. Because listen, at the end of the day, we're all trying to make money. Does it matter who's living here? We're all. I'm trying to get a house. You're trying to make So what are you saying to me?
Which, by the way, is not true. I want people to understand that is not true. That is not true. Just like every area you live in, you will find a segment of somebody living there. That is not. Please, people, do not come out and look in Walton County or Gwinnett County and expect that that's what you're going to find. That's coming from someone who's coming from out of state
and doesn't know.
Who does not know. There are very good people here. You know, we're finely tuned to those kind of things.
Right.
And so little microaggressions might exist here or there everywhere, but that is not true. There was no reason. Whatever he was fearing was not that.
It's not that.
Right. Yes. That. Yeah. I'm in Walton County too. We're literally neighbors. I'm waiting to
run. But I'm just saying, Walmart. We lived in that side of Lawrenceville for 8 years. I'm sorry, we sing all the time, so I don't know what he was talking about.
Yeah, but people have those perceptions, or they hear like you come on, we in 2021.
Come on, man.
Right, 2021.
Stay with me. Come on, man.
Right. So question for you. Remember that thought that you're about to say. Question for you. Was he a full-time agent?
Okay. I did not get the impression that he was, but this took me a while to see that. But he always proclaimed he was. But there was points or times of the day, or I'm talking about hours, stretches of the day, he was not reachable. He was only reachable early in the morning, very late at night. But if you had an SOS for him, crickets the whole day. And I'm saying, look, you could be a full-time agent. I get that. But you try to tell me that, and I kind of owe it to you to say, hey, I got a realtor who was in the middle of doing business and she gave me a call back. So I know it's possible. I never got the impression that he was a full-time. It looked to me like it was a side hustle.
Yeah, and that's no shot to part-time agents, because I started part-time. I was part-time for 2 years, but I'm just trying to wrap my head around what happened and why you got the level of service that you got. So yeah, that's just why I asked that question.
To wrap this up in a bow, when it came up pretty apparent that if we were going to do something resale, we needed a new agent, that's when I called the broker. And I asked the broker, listen, I know like we talked a couple of months back, this is not going to work. I really need to either get a new solution. And at first, I wasn't even asking to get let out of my contract. I was just saying, I can't work with him. Give me somebody else in your team. And she was like, I don't know what happened as far as maybe there was blowback from the builder, another realtor, but she completely let me completely out of the contract. Quickly. No questions asked. She was like, you know what? I'm going to send you all the paper. She was just like, if he showed you anything, he has to get paid. So that's why moving on now to when we finally got around to seeing Adams, that was bogus. The whole idea that, he was going to somehow get
paid
compensation for anything, because he never showed me anything in Adams.
Yeah.
So that was a whole nother journey too.
But we're going to get to that.
We're going to get to that.
The
thing I want to share about as far as representation and contract, like read your contract of what's in there. There are ways to get out of the contract, but it's like two sides to it. Like, I appreciate your loyalty in that, because there are people on the other side of it that your working agents are working with, giving them their all, and then they drop them like a dime, and it's just like no care, no callous. They don't care about the hours that you put in the service. They just switch agents on the drop of a dime, and then here you are, somebody that's so loyal and putting up with such lackluster service.
Yeah, I know.
It's just like,
But
anyway, things work out how they're supposed to work out. So it was a learning lesson.
It was.
It was a learning lesson, and we got here. So
we were representing ourselves. I mean, we were doing the legwork.
We were doing the
legwork.
Okay. So now you're at the resale. So now you're let out of your contract. What happened? So where did you go next once you get out of the contract?
We weren't really back in the game fully at that point. We were just looking at at that point we're just doing let's look at houses, go on Zillow. We were grieving. Yeah, we were grieving. we weren't really. I wouldn't say we were in the game. We were just kind of like looking at houses, and we happened to one of the, we looked at a D.R. Horton, Independence, and how do I put this? That was an eye opener. And D.R. Horton is very special. They are like let's put it like this. They're like a machine. When it comes to this
they're McDonald's.
They're McDonald's. Thank you. Yes. They're like McDonald's, okay? You know, so that was an eye opener when we went to the two independents and we got the whole hard sell.
Mm-hmm.
I think that opened our eyes as far as, okay, you know, let's kind of spread out a little bit more as far as what we want to look at.
They were, you know, it was all educational though. I mean, we looked at Loganville and we realized that certain communities, Chuck and I have driven probably thousands of miles by now through Georgia. Okay. So DR Horton they have their value menu, they have their specialty menu, they have their up north menu.
Right. And they have the executive menu too.
Okay.
Right.
So that was the education. The other one that really taught us some things was Central Park. And you've done a video on Central Park. And that is where we learn how to shop a la carte. We want this, that, and the other. We don't want spec.
They were the ones who opened our eyes to features that are small, that in the small print of homes.
Okay.
Like stuff that you would never think to ask for. Central Park was the one that let us know, no. Just because it's not in the base doesn't mean you can't get it.
Okay. Okay.
How could we not know that, you know, why would you want 3-inch baseboards when you could have 5-inch baseboards? Who would want that?
Right.
So we learned to
take
that menu.
I mean, just to say, why take the regular sheetrock, you know, and when you can get spindles on your staircase?
Right.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, listen, it does not hurt to ask for an extra 3 inches on your island. It does not hurt. The most that they can say is, we don't do that.
Right.
That is thank you, Central Park, for showing us the way.
Nothing was wasted. No knowledge. Even if it was hard knocks.
Okay.
Was wasted.
So even the subdivisions or the house that you look at that you don't want, you can always take something from it. That's the lesson in all that. Just because it necessarily doesn't fit you, there might be certain elements to the house though that you go, hey, you know what though? If I do get a chance to do so and so the way I like it, I'm going to ask for that as well.
Right. And I'm going to interject here. Like, you guys did good. Like, it is okay. Like you said earlier, you need representation when you are buying new construction, but it is okay for you to go in, ask those questions, see the model homes, get all the information, because new construction is agent friendly. So they're just going to ask, do you have an agent representing you? Just say yes. Like, even if you haven't picked your agent yet, just say yes. And they're still going to give you all that information. So you guys did really good doing legwork.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And to throw in one last thing too, you know, while we were still working with the last house and we were holding on to that, you know, Chuck did really good because we were looking at your videos. So, you know, we were looking at them, you know, we've seen some other ones. You obviously were our favorite, but Chuck reached out to you, and even knowing that he was still connected to an agent, you still took the time to speak to him and show that connection and that level of humanity for him to try to help him. And that kind of was what really, you know, was like, why are we dealing with this other person?
When we didn't have a realtor, you were the first name that came to my head. Like, I need to get in contact with her as for representation.
So let's talk about you online. He didn't tell me that. Oh, that was the agent I spoke to. He just said, no, I found her on YouTube, which, by the way, there's no problem with YouTube.
Right.
Like, you know.
Yeah. So you were wary. You were like, listen, you're not about to take us down this road again.
Yeah, right. Yes. That's exactly yes.
We're not doing that.
I'm glad you see that. Yes.
But once he said, no, this was the agent that took the time to talk to me, connect to me, tell me, you don't want to do that rent to own loan because you just need time. You just needed a couple of weeks to clean up what was going on with, you know, the different financial aspects. And it really was what he needed. He didn't need to go to these other steps.
Right.
Which there's nothing wrong for them. They're there to help people, but he didn't need to.
Right.
Yeah, it wasn't for you. So let's talk about that, because I remember the house that I was in. But it was either an inspection or it was
a walkthrough. I thought
walkthrough, and then I just happened to answer. And matter of fact, that buyer.
I think you have a video of the woman who bought the place. I think she had to be like in either between, I would say, young, like early 30s.
Okay.
And she might have been from out of state.
She was from New York. Matter of fact, can I get a minute? Do you see the background? Like, that's for y'all.
Hometown.
Yes. So she was from New York, and that was her first time coming in to see the house. So but I remember we were in between walking, or she hadn't gotten there or something. And I had answered the phone, and then you were telling me, and I'm like, hey, I'm here.
But you let me know. He said, hey, listen, I'm in the middle of a walkthrough, so I don't really have that much time, but shoot me. Give me a few, whatever, about what's going on with you. I gave you a small synopsis, and you said, okay, listen, I think, and at the end, you gave me some advice, but you also said at the end, you said, hey, listen, I think you should go back and talk to your agent and like, work with him and get this like straightened out, but you did let me, you said, hey, listen, if you still have any questions or whatever, please, you can call me back though. But I think that's your best course right now is to try to work with your agent and fix all the other stuff that you got going on.
Yeah, because I'm not in the business of stepping on toes, being nasty. Like, it's two sides to every story.
No, you were great.
I didn't know. So I'm like, I can share as much as I can share, but I'm not going to get into, fine, and do such and such. And on the other hand,
like that.
Your agent might have been.
I did respect that.
Yeah, he might have been doing the world for you, and he might have had a different. Like, listen, I'm not getting into that, but
it goes to character, and we were aware of it.
Yeah,
we were aware of it.
So, to kind of fast forward, so now we're doing our due diligence. We're driving around to different developments. One of the ones we went to was Sterling Oaks, the D.R. Horton one right here down the street from us.
Okay.
We had to come to that though, because when we realized we had the wrong agent for resale. I mean, we just realized we were coming to that realization that, so we're looking at both, but we're starting to slowly come to that realization. Like, we need to start looking at new again, because we have the wrong agent for resale.
Okay. All right. So now you're looking at Sterling Oaks, and
well, we were late to that party.
It sold out.
Yeah, that was sold out.
Well, if they weren't sold out, they weren't in phase 1 prices. Let's just put it that way.
You know what?
They weren't in the low anythings anymore.
Right. Yeah.
Yes, that was the huge thing for you too, because at the time, you guys got in close to 3 under the 3. Like, it was nothing in
like
the
what the
area.
prices are now in the development we're in. First of all, let me put it to you like this. I can't afford my house right now.
Listen. Yes. Accurate.
I can't afford the house, my old house right now. If I was to have to buy it tomorrow, I can't afford it.
Let's talk, like, let's pivot there a little bit. Like this market right here. I'm so glad y'all closed, and that's another reason why y'all were like, listen, we are grateful. It was rocky to the end, but we are in and we are closed.
Yeah.
Like, y'all talked about D.R. Horton, and then realize, what you learned there, and then what you learned at Central Park, a la carte. Do you guys know, like, these last couple of weeks, new construction is on something else? Like, something else. Do you know now most builders are only doing specs? There's no come in here and pick what you want. No. We're just doing specs, and once the home is ready, then we're going to release them. And some are like, submit your offer.
See that. Lotteries. They're doing now this whole deal where we're only releasing 4.
Yes, at a time.
Yeah, at a time. But
you got a wait list of 100. Like, how does that work?
Yeah.
How does that work?
You have an appointment to get on the wait list now.
Oh, yes.
That's crazy.
There's an appointment to get on the wait list.
Oh, I got one for you. So I had somebody under contract since March. We signed the contract and had a price in there. And they were like, we don't know where we're going to get started, but we're estimating the home to be ready in September. This week they called, or last week, and said, it's not going to be ready until January. But by the way, the prices are going up and we're going to do an addendum to change the price. This week, they're like, okay, no, we're not going to do the addendum anymore. Basically, we're going to cancel the contract. We're canceling.
What?
Yes. This builder is canceling the contracts that they wrote. They're saying they're still going to build the home to what that buyer wanted. However, and they'll be first in line when the home gets to like the sheetrock phase, and they'll let them know what the new price is. If they're good with the new price, cool. If they're not, then. But this house is already at like the max they wanted to spend. Like, we don't know how much more that new price is, like new construction is. Yeah.
It's off the chain.
Yeah, it is off the chain. Okay, sorry. I digress. So
no.
Yeah, the price point. So how did you find Adams?
Okay, so we went to go look at Sterling Oaks. Again, beautiful community, but we could see, first of all, again, sold out, or the ones that are being built way out of our price range. So we're leaving that to go into the signage for Adams Homes, was right around the corner. But mind you, they're not at that stage yet. They just have sidewalks and forests everywhere. It's,
and some framing or a little bit more of a model home.
A model home.
Okay.
So we broke into that model home when it was.
We did not break into it. No. We went into an open doorway to explore that model home.
I digress.
Right. And I have a video of the model home. Like I was going to put it up, but by the time I was about to put it up, the community was already sold out. But I've decided I'm going to go ahead and put it up. At least they can see what that floor plan looks like, and they can build it somewhere else. So I'll put that up.
And I'll get to something about all of that too. Mm-hmm. But so we drove through the little community there, and not community, but the little subdivision, pre-subdivision, and we were like, you know what, this might work. The price point was excellent. It was starting at $260, definitely in our price range.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, all right, let me call Adams. I called Adams, and basically they didn't have an agent assigned to this area yet.
Okay.
The one who eventually would become that, she was working at a different division way north.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to go visit her maybe the next weekend or weekend after, to look at their homes that they already had built in a community and everything that was already finished. And I was like, oh, you know what? This might work for us at the price point again and the type of homes that they had. So then I brought her in the next weekend to look at everything. And she was like, yeah, she's going to be based out of, our community, the community we're in now, in another month.
Okay.
Because by then the model home should be finished.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Still working under an old system though, still kind of working under pre-corona.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the stuff that happened for us back in, August when this was going on is probably not going to apply right this minute for people that are coming in.
Right.
Yeah.
So we were able to narrow it down to 2 homes that we liked.
Mm-hmm.
Some features from one that we liked and some features from another. And we were able to narrow down what we liked the most from the house that we chose, and chose that house. And from the second house, adapt what we really liked from that house into this one.
Okay, the floor plans.
Yes, so they were very flexible. We were able to make changes, which I understand are probably not happening in this market.
Mm-hmm.
Even in this subdivision, I don't think a lot of people are getting changes done. As you had pronounced before, most of the houses lately have been spec. They don't do specials or,
Mm-hmm.
They do some things, but I think it's more on what's available with concrete, what's available, what is in our realm of possibility now. So there's certain, and if you're asking for too many changes, which we had a few, adjustments that we made. But if you're asking for too many, I think they're having to draw the line because you're stopping the assembly line at this point.
Right. And that's what I want to point out. Like, people think when they get a home built, they're getting a custom home. These are not custom home builders. So you're not coming in and getting specifications. Right. If you want to get into custom home builder prices, I'm going to do another video on that. Right. But this is not it. So they're able to do these homes because it's not mass production, but like they're ordering like the same countertops, or maybe they might have a selection of 3 because they have this contracted with this particular vendor. So that's why they're able to offer the pricing that they're able to offer. So if they were doing custom for everyone, like I have one of my best friends, she's an interior designer and she picks out selections for builders. If you haven't seen this video, I'll put it somewhere here. You saw that? Yeah. So, and these are multi-million-dollar homes. So you could get a custom home. And if you want to buy one of those homes, like, contact me. Right. So, okay. All right. So you narrow down the floor plans and you contacted Adams. Let me ask, how did you know you were ready loan-wise to now get back out?
So that's a great question. So one of the things we also learned from the past experience, always go with your first choice, always go with the builder lender.
Okay.
Or at least give them a shot.
Okay.
You're getting a lot. And you have to do your dollars and cents, your spreadsheet, your Excel, like the IT person here, to know, is it worth it? They're covering closing for you. I don't know how they're doing today, because again, this is still hot and heavy market.
But I don't know if they're still doing that. But
they're willing to cover your closing. They're also, what we found was, they are willing to do their due diligence to make sure that that seller's time is not wasted. They are willing to do almost to the underwriting level, is what we found. And we appreciate, Chuck was living for the past, almost a year with underwriting standards. We were not spending, we were cleaning things up left and right. Chuck was staying, and he had that credit report like every day. He was checking it out, fixing errors. It was a job for him on top of his job.
Right.
But we were living to that level of commitment, and they were working with us when they had questions. We weren't waiting a week to hear back from somebody. Chuck was getting texts. He was getting, what is this?
Yes.
Explain this line, or
oh my goodness,
where is that on that decree?
Right.
Or,
exactly.
He was
on it,
and he was on it, and that, and that lender was on it.
Yeah.
He was on it.
You're gonna get nothing else in this video. One of the things I really, really admonish everyone, please, even if you don't do the due diligence on yourself, make sure your lender does. Don't have it so that you're at the final hour in closing, finding out that you had a bill from 1982 that was never paid, that you have a outstanding judgment that's connected to you from like your brother or your mom's, or that you co-signed something for somebody you can't stand anymore, but it never got cleared. Like, make sure that you do. If you don't do it for nothing else, do it, for yourself, or make sure the lender does that early. Don't wait for them to say, we have you under underwriting. No. You want to make sure they do pre-underwriting.
Right.
You don't want them to wait till you get to the closing table to tell you, oh, by the way, I'm sorry, our underwriter found something, or the title company found something else. You don't want that.
Right. And now you're looking at me like, hey, this isn't going to work. Can I get back my earnest money? Now I'm in a bind, and you look like time frames, all that. Speaking of that, when you canceled the first house, when you couldn't go forward, did you get back your earnest money?
No.
See?
No.
Oh my gosh.
Now, trust me. That was a roll of the dice. I knew
Yeah, I knew. I was figuring you wouldn't.
Past a certain line.
Yeah.
Like if we kept fighting to try to keep that house, once we went past a certain line, I knew the chances were I was going to lose that money.
Yeah. And I knew that too, but that's even more reason why you want to do this due diligence up front, because you're at risk of losing your earnest money. Like, can we just pause here? Like, viewers, thank you guys so much for watching. Please go ahead and hit that like button, because if for nothing else, like, you guys have shared so many gems already, and we're not even done yet. Like,
we're not done. Yeah, we're not done.
I am beside myself. Okay. Yes. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Oh, speaking of that, I had someone, and I still need to get to her and respond to this comment, but I'm going to say it here.
Okay.
She asked for a lender, a preferred lender, and I sent her one. And she left a comment essentially saying that, hey, the lender wouldn't give her a pre-approval, but her credit is so great and she has this money saved. Like, why wouldn't the lender give her the pre-approval?
I'll tell her why.
Why?
Because her debt to ratio is too high. So doesn't matter if she has great credit, but if you got right, so if you got $100,000 student loan that's outstanding, you could have 800 credit. That doesn't mean that they want to lend you money.
Okay. So yes, there are reasons. If a lender is not giving you a pre-approval letter, there's a reason. But this particular lender, why I appreciate them, I know if I get a pre-approval from them, I don't have nothing to worry about. Essentially, they didn't give her a pre-approval because she doesn't have all her funds. Like she still needs to save more. She needs all the money for a down payment, closing, for everything.
That's a good great point.
So her thing is like, well, other lenders will give me a letter. You're right. And other lenders will give you a letter, and then we get to the end and now you don't have the money to close, because that has happened to me. My first deal ever, a few days before closing, the loan officer got missing. Got in touch with the manager. The manager's apologizing, saying that people should have never gotten pre-approved in the first place, like nightmare type stories. So yeah, I've been out looking with somebody like the end of the year, and they're like, yeah, I want to put in an offer on this house, but I need the money from my income tax. I'm like, the income tax that you're going to file in a few months? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, so the lender didn't make sure you had all your funds before we out here looking at so that's how I learned to ask these questions up front. So yeah, you can go to some lenders and they'll give you a piece of paper, but then you run into issues like this.
I like that another one of the reasons why I love my lender. My lender told me exactly up front how much I was going to need at close. And every 3 months, because this was a dragged out, we'll get to all that, but it's a dragged out process. Every 3 months, I had to prove again and again and again that I still had that money in the bank somewhere.
Yeah, because you were building, so it took you months. So they had to re-verify.
For those of you that have sketchy sources for that money, if that lender has not proven, does not have a provenance for where that money is coming from, that's not going to go through either. So they have to know that money is coming from legit sources.
Right. So, and they're going to verify. And then with COVID, I don't know if they're still doing it. They probably are. Like, they are verifying employment up until the closing table. So yeah, they are verifying up until the very end. And I have a video with a lender, and she basically explained, like, people say, like, why do they need all of this? Why do they ask all these questions? And she gave me the best answer. She was like, 10 years from now, if an auditor picks up the file, they need to have everything documented. They're not calling the buyer. They're not calling the seller. They're not calling the agent. They don't want to call anybody. It needs to be properly documented. So that's why the underwriting process.
Well, here's the reason why. This is what my lender told me. He said the reason why he has to do that as far as the employment, because in the era of COVID, people are losing their jobs.
Oh, yeah.
Like that.
Right. I
mean, I'm talking about like a week before closing. Job no longer have job.
Yes,
so that's the reason why they had to do that.
Oh yeah. And I talked to agents, and their clients lost their job, never said anything, thought that it was going to skate by. No, please no, it won't skate by. So just better to disclose it up front.
Just let them know.
Just go ahead and disclose it up front.
I mean, I'm sorry, but you can't skip anything. You cannot hide today.
Yeah, no, not in this market. Not in this market. Okay, all right. Woo, that was good. Yeah. All right, so now you're at Adams.
So we're at Adams right now. So now I have now a new realtor.
Okay.
And I have a new lender.
Okay.
I've gone with the builder's lender.
Oh, you're going with the builder's lender. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm at the stage now where we are, and again, we are still like, okay, and again, through this whole reason why we were the way we were is because we were hurt so badly from the first one. We were like, if it happens, it happens. Mm-hmm. But maybe I should speak for me because I don't think she was on that same wave as I was. But I'm like, if we get the house, we get the house. If we don't, we don't. You know, it's just that's where I was at. Mm-hmm. So when we're at the stage where we are just kind of the earnest money that I'm giving them works great. I didn't feel like I'm losing. It's only $1,000. I'm like, you know, if it didn't work out, I'm losing $1,000.
$1,000 is a lot of jelly beans.
The last one I lost $5.
Okay.
So
yeah,
I'm sorry,
compared, yeah.
The level of pain is a little bit different here. Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, wait. I get it. But how about there's a builder where your earnest money is $35,000. So $1,000 is like I can stomach that. It's a lot, but I can stomach it. Okay.